Let's cut every fake moral take floating around this fandom. Step down off that pedestal where we glorify perfect Saint Elena and face one brutal truth most fans refuse to unpack. The whole fandom lives for hating Katherine Pierce. We stamp her as a cold villain, a scheming manipulator, a backstabbing traitor. But have you ever stopped to ask why we fixate on tearing her down harder than any other character? The ugly secret? Katherine is a mirror, reflecting the brutal survival instincts every single one of us hides deep inside. Instincts we're too cowardly to ever own up to. For over 10 years, fans frame Katherine's Season 2 return to Mystic Falls as a cold, pre-planned power grab. Everyone paints her as a vengeful survivor who came just to wreck everyone's happy small-town lives for petty amusement. But what if I dropped a truth that flips all your fan theories on their heads? Katherine's biggest trick was never played on Stefan and Damon. It was played on every single viewer judging her online. She built that icy, evil queen persona just to hide a crushing reality. After 500 years on the run, she had nothing left to hold on to. She didn't march into Mystic Falls to spark bloodshed and war. She came home only because she'd spent 5 centuries fleeing darkness all alone, and she physically could not keep running one more single day. You all love to say you'd act exactly like Elena, clinging to kindness and full humanity, if Klaus the original hybrid massacred your bloodline and chased you across every continent. Let's be honest with ourselves, you wouldn't last. Barely any ordinary person would make it through the first 100 years of that torture. Katherine didn't turn monstrous out of inherent malice. She hardened into something cruel solely because she refused to let herself get killed. This is reverse victim blaming at its worst, and we're tearing that toxic mindset apart today. The fandom labels every choice she made to stay alive as twisted, criminal behavior. It's time to unpack the devastating psychological toll of being the global target of an immortal hunter for half a millennium. The 500-year pressure cooker. Let's break down the lifelong cycle of abandonment that broke young Katerina long before she ever met Klaus. Back in 1490, teenage Katerina Petrova lost her newborn baby torn away from her arms. Then her own father cast her out of the family without mercy. This trauma was her starting point. Before she ever crossed paths with a single vampire, every part of her world drilled one harsh lesson into her head. Nobody will ever fight for you. You exist alone. Then Klaus entered her life, launching a 500-year endless cat-and-mouse hunt. Stop and calculate how heavy that trauma truly is. This isn't a messy breakup or one terrible tough year. It's 500 years where she never dared fully fall asleep, always on guard. Every stranger she encountered could be Klaus's spy sent to track her down. Every town she settled in was only a temporary prison. When you live in permanent supernatural paranoia for 5 centuries, soft human empathy cannot remain untouched. Survival necessity crushes it flat. Fans constantly hold up her impulsive, self-centered choices in Mystic Falls as solid proof she's irredeemably evil. But from a clinical psychological lens, those reckless moves aren't the tactics of a master manipulator. They're clear symptoms of a crumbling survival coping mechanism. When Katherine steps foot in Mystic Falls in Season 2, she is not playing elaborate mind games for fun. She's midway through a 500-year cumulative mental collapse. That iconic Queen of Hell act? Nothing more than heavy armor she hides behind, to stop anyone from seeing the raw, wounded core left after centuries of lonely running. Revenge was never her driving motive. Vengeance is a luxury only afforded to people who hold hope for a peaceful tomorrow. Katherine returned because her traumatic past could no longer be outrun, and she clung to a desperate last hope to find somewhere that felt like home, in a world that spent 5 centuries erasing every trace of her existence. The Elena problem? Petty jealousy? Or unbearable grief? Let's tackle the most hotly debated conflict between Katherine and Elena head-on. Most fans reduce Katherine's fixation on Elena down to shallow, petty envy, labeling her a bitter, scorned lover trope. This is only a surface take that completely ignores the lifelong psychological ruin Katherine endured. Katherine never resented Elena over youth or beauty. The true root of her bitterness was one priceless thing. 500 years of constant running stripped away from her, a support system, a community that loves you unconditionally. Stop and reflect. Even if Elena lost her entire family and her home burned to ash, dozens of people would volunteer to sacrifice their lives protecting her. She had the privilege to stay gentle, the privilege to lean on others as a hurt victim. Katherine never got that privilege. The moment she showed vulnerability back in 1490, Her own family threw her away. When she stares at Elena, she's not staring at a love rival. She's staring at the alternate version of herself that got to retain soft humanity without constant flight. Fans brand Katherine pure evil for wanting to take Elena's peaceful life. But let's be honest. If society treated you like a deadly plague for 500 years, wouldn't you feel bitter watching another girl get comfort and sympathy just for grieving? Fans weaponize Elena's inherent goodness to demonize Katherine, yet the only gap between the two women is a loving support network and 5 centuries of non-stop life or death running. Stefan Salvatore. We hit the fandom's biggest misconception about Katherine's feelings, her so-called love for Stefan. Every viewer asks the same question. Why fixate on Stefan instead of Damon? Damon embraced darkness and fully understood her pain. Yet that's precisely the reason she pulled away from him. Damon reminded her of the cruel monster survival forced her to become. Stefan was a leftover relic of the innocent girl she used to be. Katherine's obsession with Stefan was never genuine soulmate love. It was a frantic, last-ditch effort to cling to the innocent self Klaus destroyed. She didn't crave Stefan the man. She craved the Katerina Petrova he represented. The girl capable of soft emotion, the girl who never traded her humanity just to stay alive. When she manipulates Stefan and pushes him to revisit their 1864 memories, she's not competing to win his heart again. She's begging for a witness. She needs one person to look past the hardened survivor everyone sees and recognize the broken girl underneath. She desperately tries to borrow his gentle goodness to fill the hollow space in her ruined soul. This desperate attempt to reclaim her old self was doomed from day one. You cannot steal lost humanity from another person. You cannot force someone to be your moral anchor once you've already severed every emotional bond between you. All her calculated schemes in Mystic Falls were never a conquest for power. They were messy, self-destructive cries for help from a woman who'd completely forgotten how to live without constant fear. Katherine Pierce's core tragedy is not her death scene. It's that she spent 500 years mastering survival, only to wake up and realize she had nothing worth living for. The fandom treats her final demise as satisfying justice. Everyone cheered when she got dragged down into dark oblivion, eager to celebrate the villain's defeat. But let's re-examine that finale scene objectively. Her end wasn't a heroic victory for Elena and the brothers. It was the unavoidable mental collapse of a woman who chose cold power over vulnerability for 500 years, until she no longer knew how to open herself up to softness at all. In her final desperate moments, when Katherine fights to body swap into Elena's human body, we witness the ultimate bitter irony. The woman who spent every episode boasting she always held a backup plan crumbles into a panicking, reactive wreck. Humanity cannot be stolen through body possession, nor seized by force. She traded away every shred of her softness as payment for eternal life centuries ago, leaving her spiritually penniless by the end of her story. Katherine's legacy is a cautionary story, yet not the surface lesson fans claim. This tale is not a simple warning against wickedness. It reveals the devastating cost of 500 years with no safe home to return to. If you spend your entire life stacking defensive walls just to stay alive, you will eventually discover you've constructed a prison tomb solely for yourself. Let's circle back to that toxic reverse victim blaming we discussed earlier. The next time you type comments calling Katherine unbearable or irredeemably toxic, pause and ask yourself a genuine question. How long would you hold on to your kindness under that torture? Would you break after 50 years on the run? After your entire bloodline gets butchered? After they rip your newborn baby away from your arms? We rush to judge Katherine because it gives us a false sense of moral safety. We trick ourselves into believing our inherent goodness is a choice we actively maintain, instead of a privilege granted by our safe, supported lives. Kindness comes naturally when you're protected. Compassion flows easy when you're surrounded by love. Katherine Pierce never got to experience safety or unconditional love. All she possessed was a beating heart and a stubborn will to stay breathing. You're fully allowed to still hate her character, but your hatred shouldn't stem from claims that she's pure evil. Hate her only because she's an uncomfortable truth. Under endless crushing pressure, the gentle Elena part inside every single one of us fades away, leaving only the ruthless Katherine's survival instinct behind. She was never a power-hungry villain. She was a survivor who finally ran out of strength to keep fleeing. The scariest truth about Katherine Pierce? She mirrors parts of yourself you refuse to acknowledge. Add your thoughts down below to hash this out. Drop one if you've always thought Katherine was irredeemably cruel. Drop 2 if you've always sympathized with her lifelong trauma. Next time you rewatch Katherine's full arc from Season 2 to her final death scene, don't label her a heartless traitor. Recognize her story as a lifelong jailbreak from a world that hunted her non-stop. Katherine finally broke free from the moral cage. The fandom trapped her inside. And that's why so many viewers rage against her. A woman who refuses to be chained down by endless guilt is far scarier than any fictional villain to casual fans.